and I'm just drifting away.
You are an incredible musician. You're also one of the most resilient people that I know. And one of the reasons I really wanted to share your story on this show is because you're such an inspiration. You experienced unimaginable tragedy and were able to move through it and make music to bring to the world.
I've spent years and years wanting this album to get out there. I was living in Brooklyn at the time, and I moved closer to my parents because my dad had a recording studio in his basement. I would go to the studio and get as much time in as I could, and the songs on there I had been working on for like 10 years or so. In the middle of mixing it, my parents and my sister died in a car accident. Actually, my dad, he survived for another month in the hospital. Of course, my whole world had to stop. And yeah, it was really, really tough. I think that's the beauty of music or art in general. It's a great way to process what's happening to you. I've used that for the past couple of years, processing this new world that I've stepped into without them. My parents were driving from upstate New York back to Brooklyn. They were just at a summer camp. They were driving on the southbound lane, and a northbound car jumped the median and landed on their car. And the driver, who took responsibility for the accident, he was on a high level of Xanax, and he lost a daughter in the accident. His wife was there and his other child was there. His other child survived. When his court hearing came up, I had a chance to speak to him and tell him how I felt. And I was able to tell him that I was upset for what he did, but I really sincerely forgave him for what he did. That alone, the power of forgiveness, changed my life. And I can't stress that more highly to anybody who's in a situation like I've been in, and changed his life, I think, for the better. He also confided in me and got to speak to and said that he was sad for everything that happened. And hearing those words after it was 2.5 years of not hearing that, I was no longer under a cloud wherever I walked. Well, if you hold on to that pain and that frustration towards someone like that who has done you wrong or done your family wrong, you can't leave it at the door at the end. But if you're able to say, I forgive you for this, you can move on with your life. And that's what I've been able to do now. I mean, we're human beings. Human beings make mistakes, and sometimes they're really terrible mistakes, but from my experience, forgiveness really was the key. So I couldn't thank him enough for saying what he said, and it's changed my life for the better. So.
That is so extraordinarily powerful. And thank you for sharing that message. It can inspire others to see what's possible, even in the hardest of situations, to find forgiveness and how powerful that can be.
Yes.
That is so beautiful. Thank you for sharing
that. It's been really important for me to try to continue their legacy. And I really think the best thing that I could do to honor them is to honor my dreams in wanting to do this and their dreams to do this. My sister was also in the middle of mixing her own album. She was using the same studio that I had used. I have to try to continue this for them. Whippersnapper starts out with the song Whatever You Want, and that's my biggest philosophy, which is that in whatever space you're in, if you think it's dark or bright, you control the light. I really try to stick by that, and that really came in handy too during this grief process, and just trying to stay positive and stay towards the light.
It must be pretty exciting to come to Austin and have the Austin Chronicle give you such a rave review.
Oh yeah, that was amazing. When I got word that I had gotten a review, period, I was excited. And then to learn that it was a 4-star review, it was just like, oh, yeah, that just made it all really worth it, you know?
What do you think about Austin? We like to keep it weird here. It's pretty different than New York. How have you acclimated?
I just love it. I really love it. I don't think that there's a single thing wrong with Austin. You guys are complaining about the traffic a little bit, but you know, I think it's all perspective. You come from New York and you're like, what traffic?
I agree. Also, who are you guys? You live here now.
No, I know, it's
so
true.
It's y'all.
I'm still getting, yes, y'all.
You're
it's
an
true.
Austinite.
I know, I'm still catching up with that fact. When you come from New York, you're just like, why are you talking to me? Are you a crazy person? But here it's just like, oh yeah, we're just talking about vegetables, you know.
What have you learned about the healing power of music and art?
I cannot stress enough how important. Replacing the trauma with art. This project that I have now that I'm working on, my album of grief, that is really helpful. Even though it's dark and it's talking about sadness, it's helpful to continue on and like try to keep going. I'm gonna play you one of my newer songs called Driftin'.
And thank you for sharing your heart with us today, Devan. We really appreciate it.
It's hard to wrap my head around the fact that this won't pass at the end of the year, or 3 or 5 or 10. There's no end to the realization you're no longer here. How can I still play the keys on the synth that were stuck in the trunk of the car? But when it comes to you, you did not pull through. What the hell am I supposed to do?